serious and so important, and it's very respectful, which I appreciate.
Yep.
I think we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be dangerous because anytime someone says, well, look, let's make this about climate change, let's make this in maybe a more issue-based election, then you're politicizing a tragedy, which is difficult. But when this keeps happening, when you keep having these rains and you keep having these floods, it at some point, it does have to be political. At some point, people are going to have to vote based on it.
I mean, if climate change isn't an issue, I don't know what is exactly. Gabriel, I appreciate your call. Sue Lincoln, very kind. Here's a listener writing in, looking at the floods, but also fire. James writes to us. He says, I was just in California, and you could literally see the flames from Highway 1 when driving through Big Sur. On the West Coast, one senses an environmental fragility that is really worrying. As the environment continues to change, I think we humans are going to be utterly amazed at how rapidly we'll start to reach environmental tipping points in places like California, Florida, Australia. At some point, he writes, we hopefully wise up, let the scientists, engineers, and technocrats get their hands dirty and try to fix things. The mendacious bastards in Congress have no expectation of ever displaying useful leadership on these issues. So, Lincoln, is climate change an issue in the politics of Louisiana?
To be honest with you, no. They will not discuss it. They will not bring it up as an issue. I mean, we have had lawsuits filed by local governmental bodies asking the oil companies to repair the canals that they dug into our marshlands that allowed those canals to become hurricane highways for storm surge. And the government of Louisiana has pretty much quashed those lawsuits any way that they can. I mean, and I do understand that the folks in California are suffering. I understand it probably better than a lot of people. I grew up out there. And I remember a time in 1978 where, living in Long Beach, California, you could go up on Signal Hill, which is a hill completely surrounded by the town of Long Beach, and look all around and see fires all around you encircling on the foothills of the mountains that encircle the Los Angeles basin. So this is not the first time we have had this out there. This is not the first time we have had massive flooding here in Louisiana. I am not saying that means that it should not be addressed as a climate change issue. Far from it. I am just saying that we know how to cope with it as best we can. And right now, folks that have been flooded aren't thinking about climate change. They're thinking about stopping mold and getting drywall and soaked carpeting out of their homes when and if they can get back in their homes.
Yeah.
As far as the flooding continuing, Tom, a town near Gaydon was ordered a mandatory evacuation this morning because the floodwaters continue to move south.
Keeps rolling. Sue Lincoln with WRKF in Baton Rouge. Thank you so much for being with us today, Sue.
Sure.
Very kind.